Hey everyone, it's Ian again. I'm back with another video to show how to remove your door from your Audi TT Mark II. So let's jump right in, starting off by removing the electrical plug from the door and then removing the door trim. Then once the door is removed, we'll look at stripping all the components down and rebuilding the door. Now after you've taken out the two Torx screws here, you'd usually be popping out the door fittings, but I've already done that, so I've skipped that step. Now just before door removal, there is a nut that you've got to remove, and then a bolt, which is a T40 Torx. So here I'm doing the T40 Torx down the bottom, so two fittings. Now ideally you do want to have another person helping you out. The door came off quite quickly for me and it caught me by surprise. You can see I was trying to put it back on, but it is light enough to be able to carry away by yourself. Moving on to stripping all the electrical components down, get your T25 Torx bit out, and we'll start off at the window motor and then the airbag sensor. Then you can continue to remove the door panel trim to then remove the door lock, plug, and then remove the wiring loom from the door. Now I'm removing the door hinges here, which I'll show closer in a second, as I will be refitting a different door which was freshly resprayed. Just have to remove them and then transfer them over into the replacement panel. Then you'll be able to drop the door back onto the body. Now the door's back onto the body, just reattach the two fittings that we removed before. So there's one bolt and one nut. And then we can continue to rebuild the door. Now you probably want to leave this foam piece until closer to the end of the job, and you'll see why in a bit. But the next step would be to rebuild the door handle. Now I found the door handle quite tricky to reinstall just because instructions aren't very clear. I found that the best thing to do was to undo the ball end from the inside of the door and make sure that the metal part catches on the latching area on the back of the door handle. Next step, I installed the window regulator, and this is where you'll see that foam piece getting in the way. And here's where the other side of the window regulator wasn't going in anymore because of that foam. So I'm just simply undoing those bolts, moving it to the left, and then the rest of the regulator can slot into place. Time to install the weather seals. So this is the outer one, which is held in by, I think, 8 or so little Torx bits. Once those are in, then we can look at installing the inner door seal. Now there's a bit that kind of dangles down and feeds into the door, and it's kind of hard to see, but you do have to push this into place to where it fits on the inside of the door. Okay, so that's how you fit both the inner and outer window seal as well as the little corner trim pieces. Now this is just the building of the base of the wing mirrors. Nice and easy, and it's held in by 3 bolts. Then we're looking at rebuilding and installing the window. Once the window's in its fittings, you can easily move the whole assembly up and down if you've left the window motor out. So it just makes it simpler to be able to access the bolts for when you're doing fine adjustments, as you'll see later on. I ended up dropping a little part of the window clamp which is closest to the hinge. Now it only fits on one way, so it's quite simple to refit if it does fall out. Now you might need some kind of pry tool or something thin to make sure that the window seal isn't pinched or folded in the wrong direction. Now I'm just removing the guts of the wing mirrors. Did get a little bit stuck here as well, but the main thing to remember is that to remove the assembly, you do have to click the wing mirror back all the way to then be able to lift it out. Removal of the wing mirror wiring can be a little bit tricky, as there are a couple of fittings that are hidden inside the door, but just have a feel around and you'll see what you need to do. I decided to redo the threads on this fitting because the bolt that goes here is well known to either cross thread or round out. So doing this and then retesting my bolt ensures a smooth refitment. Now you may find it hard to get the main base bolt hole to line up, so I just tapped it in with a screwdriver and hammer to make sure that it lined up perfectly for the soft bolt to go through. Alright, so the job's almost done and now it's time to refit all the electronic components back to the door. Now you do want to make sure that the window seals nicely with the top of the door. So you can see that there is a little bit of a gap here, and I take a few goes to make sure that the window retracts back into its recess at the very top of the body. Second go, it's getting there, but it's still not going into the little recess at the top of the door frame, so I'll give it another shot. Alright, and third time lucky, so you can see that the gap is completely gone. Last but not least, there is one more weather seal that needs to attach on the very outside of the door. You can see it's quite a long piece here. And once that's done, you can go ahead and reattach your door trim. Hope you found that helpful, and thanks for watching.